Welcome to another podcast of Reviving the American Family. My name is Zach.
I'm April.
All right. Today, man, we had a lot of stuff go on last night.
We woke up to a surprise. Ay, Dios mío.
To explosion. Yeah. So I'm sure everybody has seen that, the United States did attack Venezuela and blew up their bases and some of their military bases and those type of crucial things that they needed to do to be able to extract the President Maduro, from the country. So looks like basically a few things took place. Number one, United States blew up the military bases. Number two, they sent in the special forces. Number three, they used those special forces to extract President Maduro and the First Lady. I think her name is Cilia.
False President Maduro.
Yeah, that's right.
Was real.
We've talked about this in a couple of our other podcasts that we've had, and then we knew it was pretty important. Something was going down. There was a recent interview where President Trump said his days are numbered, is what he told the reporter.
We had no idea what he meant by that.
Yeah. So you got to really read between the lines and take President Trump seriously. When he says stuff like that,
he might kidnap you.
He might kidnap you and take you from your country
and your wife
and put you on trial. So we'll go over some of that. So we've been talking about Venezuela, and some of my buddies and stuff have said, "Why are you talking about them so much?"
It's a big deal. I've been on this. I've told you this is a big deal, and nobody believed me. And this is a big deal. It can cause a major war if Trump doesn't play his cards right. And I think what we're about to talk about is he pulled an ace.
Yeah. It makes me think of the Bay of Pigs, but the Bay of Pigs done right. Where it wasn't done successfully with Cuba in the Kennedy terms, but Trump, I mean, within minutes, it was over. It just shows you the military force, the intelligence that the United States actually has is immense and
secondary
far beyond what I think people actually realize. When you can do kind of I wouldn't say a surprise attack, but they've had ships coming towards Venezuela, and people have been kind of whispering that something could happen, but in the middle of night, within minutes, you see explosions. He's being extracted out of there with his wife, and a successful mission. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now, I think what you're going to hear is a bunch of libertarians, kind of the Dave Smith type, that said, "This isn't what I voted for. This is not a war. At least it's not a war right now."
I think it's him trying to avoid a war more than it is a war.
Right.
Because things are escalating, and the way it was going in the Western Hemisphere with Maduro, it was causing lots of trouble for us with oil and cartels.
Yeah.
And Maduro was kind of the head honcho for this.
Yeah. What I mean by that, though, is that you're going to see a bunch of emotional response from the libertarian types, the liberals, of course, that don't like Trump, where they're going to say, when we bombed Iran, you saw a lot of, like I said, the Dave Smith types that were like, "I didn't vote for this. He's getting us into a war." This is not a war. Venezuela is not going to go to war against us. They're not going to do anything. So this is not going to be a war. So I'm against wars for the most part.
We are.
But stuff like this, where it's quick, you're out and you're accomplishing something important.
They're more operations. Than they are acts of war.
Yep. So let's go over why Venezuela. You would think out of all the places the United States could attack, you wouldn't think poor old little Venezuela would be that crucial, but it is pretty crucial. And we'll go over. We had a podcast that, April, you did most of the talking in about selling oil to fund terrorists in the Middle East, and that's not gonna go well here in the Western Hemisphere.
Well, that's where this all stems from.
Yeah.
Is because these were funding cartels and terrorist groups, and Trump's taking it back.
Yeah, just to give you a little bit of what we talked about, we didn't really focus on necessarily the cartels, but we focused mainly on the tanker that we took, and the tanker was used to go to Iran to get their oil to eventually get sold to China. And then that money goes to fund Hezbollah, and then so you've got this funding that's taking place. We have sanctions against Venezuela. We don't buy any oil from them. We're not able to take advantage of any of their oil, and Venezuela has the largest reserve of oil. What does that mean? under their feet, they have the most oil out of every country. Now it's more of a tar or thicker type of oil that takes a certain type
it's harder to refine.
Harder to refine, takes a certain type of technology, infrastructure, those types of things that Venezuela has really let go because they're such a, they've been in such a disarray with their country, and they haven't really been able to do what they could do. And then if they could do it, they would just sell it to China, right. They would sell it to Russia, they would sell it to Cuba. So they're selling it to all of our enemies or our competitors, which doesn't set well with us in the United States.
No, so it keeps our prices high.
It keeps our prices high. If we could get more, oil and gas into our country, that's a better thing for us. It lowers prices for everything. Everything. Yep.
Yeah, because we transport these things with oil. I don't think people realize, as much as we're like solar people, we love solar panels, and you should put them on your house. However, oil is still king, and I don't see that changing for a very long time.
Yeah.
We transport things with oil. We use it for heating, energy, everything.
Yeah. And we're a huge producer of oil. We extract it out of our ground, and that's important for us to be able to continue to take advantage of as part of our economy and our marketplace. So what does this do? Not only if we can take those sanctions off and actually be able to take advantage of the Venezuelan oil, it benefits us. Mm-hmm. And then if we're taking that from China, from Russia, it makes us even that more competitive, and it hurts
hurts OPEC.
Our competitors. That's right. So that's probably the main reason. If you have to read between the lines, follow the money, that's where this is. But there's a few other things that I think is good to mention. Venezuela actually had a training island called Margarita Island where they're training terrorist groups. They're allowing terrorist groups to go to their island to be trained. And that's
it's not something we want on our hemisphere.
Not something we want. And it's just a spit in the face. Like we don't know what's going on. I mean, come on. We can track just about everything, let alone terrorist groups coming over to our area. So I think that plays a role in this. These are just smaller roles. Stop sending drugs over here. Now, this would be number 3, right? The drugs.
Right.
So do they produce drugs? No, Venezuela doesn't produce a lot of drugs.
They traffic them.
They're getting the drugs from Colombia, mm-hmm. and then they're trafficking them. They're bringing them over through the sea and getting them to the United States.
Right.
And they're doing about 8%, 10%, depending on, what you read, but it's not a huge amount. So that tells me it's not like this is a war on drugs mainly. It's a small 10% amount, but it does send a clear message to other countries like, hey, we're blowing up your ships. We're taking this seriously. Don't send your little boats over here. Don't try to bring drugs. We're going to take care of business. So It does send a good message. Number 4 that Trump's been talking about a lot would be stop emptying your prisons and your psych wards into our country.
Right.
So
to cut costs. Were like, we're just going to empty our prisons and psych wards and send them to the Mexico-U.S. border. And that's what Trump has been up in arms about as well, because it's not good for our culture and society.
Yep. One of the other major things, number 5, would be fair and free elections. So we all know that President Maduro lost the last election that happened, I think, last July, if I'm remembering right. It was a clear loss, but then he basically rigs it and says, no, he won. And I think it was Gonzalez had to flee from Venezuela.
Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia.
Urrutia, yeah. You like to say Urrutia.
I like Urrutia. Why doesn't he go by that one? That one's way cooler.
So he fled. So it would be interesting to see, since he was actually the winner, if somehow President Trump works with him to try to get him into that seat.
And he's still in Spain. You should link our other 2 videos where we talked about this so all of our hundreds of viewers out there can catch up.
That's right. All right. And then the other thing is number 6 would just be you're sending a message to Russia and China.
Right. And you're cutting them off. You're hitting them in the knees right here because they're not going to be able to get the oil from Venezuela. Anymore.
Yeah, that's right. So right now they're getting a large amount of oil from Venezuela, and that's helping them be more productive, helping their market, hurting us. And it sends a message to other countries like Brazil that's kind of doing some similar things, and that, hey, you're in our hemisphere, you're going to do business here, you're going to work with us as the United States, not people that are competitors.
Just because
or our
we're
enemies.
better, because we don't harbor terrorists here. We have a structure that won't allow. We don't want immorality, and those terrorist groups they directly conflate with Western civilizations.
Yeah. So I thought it would be good to get this out as quickly as possible, as people are wondering, there's going to be, again, a bunch of the CNNs and the MSNBCs and liberal podcasters. Oh, look at the peace president Trump attacking Venezuela. No, these guys asked for it. This is the right thing to do. And it's quick in and out. Now, if they had some year war, I would be totally with you. But that's not what this is. This is wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Get out and get it, get it done and get that president out of there.
I think he strategically picked the day, too, because it's a Saturday and it's just a Saturday after New Year's. So not too many people are paying attention, but it's something you need to pay attention to. It's something we need to stay aware of. But I think it was strategically done at a good time as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's our podcast for today, and we appreciate you guys subscribing, liking, comment. Please subscribe.
Share.
It helps us out. Share it with everybody. Thanks, and have a fantastic weekend.
Bye.